Okay, somebody was wanting to know if you could take one of these pod mods, one of these like a Myjet or a Von Earl or a Juul, and rig it up to where you could run it the pod on a battery like this, which is variable voltage. This one, you push the button 3 times, and it'll go from 3.7 to 4.2 to 4.8, but I'm going to run it on 3.7. Now what I've done was I took a Myjet, and what happened was my pod leaked and got down inside the battery and the electronic circuitry and the components. It's got a microphone down inside there, and what happens when that microphone gets soaked with that juice? It can't hear you puffing. The wind rushing through the thing is what fires the my jet to, so you can get a hit off of it. You know, it's what fires it and makes the coil get hot. Is the wind rushing past the microphone activates it. And once that gets soaked, what happened was it just stayed on. It just kept firing and wouldn't stop. So I had to take of course, the pod out to keep it from burning up. But what I've done was I ordered a new one because I love my Myjet. But anyway, I've taken. You remember these old clear misers? Well, some of these old clear misers have got these. You can replace the atomizer in it. They got the little strings that stick out, and the fire pin, which is the positive, is in the bottom, and then the outside of this has got a rubber grommet around that fire pin, and then and the coil wire, one coil wire is touching this center pin, and then that's insulated with that rubber insulator around that, and then the outside of this all metal around there. Then the other wire touches there to make your connection through your negative. So your positive is the center pin, the outside body of this is your negative, and you can take this center pin. You have to file down because it won't screw right into a battery because it's too long, the fire pin that pulls out. So I took one apart and I filed down the pin, and you can see the hole where the airflow would go through. But now with that fire pin, you can still pull that out. And what you'd have to do, and then you can see the rubber inside there. Put that fire pin back in there. Um, Now with that being flatter, it'll screw in to the battery. So. So now you got something to work from with a positive and a negative. So you solder a wire to the pin, pull the little pin out, side there. Well, the rubber came out with it. Solder a wire to the pin, and then solder a wire to the outside base. So your outside base, like I said, would be negative, and the wire coming up through the center from that pin that's insulated with that little rubber grommet, that's your positive. So you'd have that coming out. So that screws down in there, and you can take a Myjet. What I did was I cut off the Myjet here body. I cut that off. This is where the pod fit in, and the battery and component was inside. And it's got a little plastic holder for the battery and the other components. Uh, Cut the end of that off where the two little connection pins are inside there. Okay, so those wires are soldered to that pin from one of those atomizers I showed you. Center pin, and then the outside to solder to one pin and then the other for positive and negative. So now this will screw on. I still need to epoxy this all around the outside or inside there to make that good and solid, because it's just the two wires inside there are soldered. You can kind of see the shiny spots inside there where they're soldered on. And now your pod will fit right in and make connection on the pins. Now this will screw on to my battery now. As such, move the crooked there. Okay, so that'll screw onto there. So I can take my pod out. Push it right back in, it makes connection. And then I can push the fire button to get a hit. I've got it on 3.7 volts. So, yeah, one of these could be made so that you could use your pods on a rechargeable, of course, variable voltage battery. It's a little more awkward. I mean, you know, to carry it. Once I epoxy that in, it'll make it solid. Then you can screw it in, screw it off, put a different kind of tank on there, whatever you want. But now you'd be able to use that with one of your pods. Oop, hit the button. So you could do this with a Von Earl, you know, attach it to one of those atomizers that came out of one of the most Clearmizer tanks. It's just a matter of soldering your positive and your negative and cutting your pieces, cutting your body where the plastic holds the two pins that connect to make the connection, you know, so it'll fire. But you solder them to the thing that screws into here, and then fill that in with epoxy or something inside there, so you'd be able to unscrew it. So this will all get filled in around there. Of course, I'll keep the epoxy putty away from the threads here, and then I can screw that on or leave it screwed on or take it off whenever I want to charge my battery. And plug my Myjet pod into it anytime I want to use it. So right now, I like this Myjet. I can't wait till I get my other one because it's sleek. It runs about like lightweight, fits in my pocket. It's better than carrying one of these batteries around. But now I can use this till my new one comes in the mail. I've got a tank, but I like these little pods, the way they operate, and I refill it, and I can put new cotton in it. I take the old cotton out and fire it, so if the coil gets real hot and all that gunk that's on the coil will burn off, and then put a new piece of cotton in there, put some more juice in there, put it back together, and you're ready to rock and roll. So anyway, I made this video for a guy that was asking me about that, and hope he watches the video and sees that yes, this can be done like he was saying, or you could take one of those apart and make it so it screws onto one of your batteries. Over and out.